Peace and blessings, everyone. So I was reading an article online this morning concerning some research that was done about a gene in men which affects how well they bond with their mate. And of course, what it brings to mind, or what it speaks to, is the issue of free will. And I knew he's going to end up barking. Macho! We have to be more honest. We have to stay in truth. We can admit to how genes, affect us physically. But when it comes to, the issue of free will, making choices, we try to run away from it. We try to hide from it. And of course, I believe that the ultimate reason is because of it going counter to religion. If we are not in control of ourselves, if we ultimately do not have choice in the choices that we make, then how can religion be true? Organized religion. And I think that's maybe the ultimate motive behind the intelligent design, the creationist people who want to try to invalidate evolution. Because they say, you get into argument, well, if everything just happened, then you have what reason you have to live? Then there's no meaning to anything, and then they just go on from there. You have to be truthful. You cannot compromise. Now it says even in the study that it might not necessarily be, or it isn't that this gene has the ultimate control, but the fact remains that it has some control. There is a relationship, a correlation to having a gene and men being able to commit to their mate. So there is some effect. And so once again, it comes down to, well, then how much control do we have? For some, it might be more than others. You have the male who has this gene. For some, there might be a small control over, them wanting to settle down. For others, it might be of greater control. But how do you quantify that? How do you measure that? And if you don't attempt to measure that, then you're not being truthful. And all you're doing is hurting society. All we're doing is hurting ourselves because of fear. Ultimately because of fear. For those of you who call yourself religious, you're in fear. You're in fear that it's going to kill your God. But it might just be a thing that you need to reevaluate what or who your God is. If you realize that if you make your God truth, you cannot fail. Your God can never be eliminated, never killed, will not leave you, will not betray you. You have to be truthful. And this is something that I'm battling with myself, is exactly what that means. As far as how should I look at you if you are not willing to be truthful? you are at the least being intellectually dishonest. At the worst, just a liar? Or what? What does that mean at the worst? What does it mean if you're not being intellectually honest to such things? If you're not willing to be truthful about such things? Because you then have people in a position of power, politicians, who, if they are not intellectually honest in this manner, then they are making laws and rules which are blind to the truth. How can we live in a society where such things happen? How can you respect those in power that do such things? And once again, you might be the one that's in power. So how am I supposed to look at you? Am I supposed to submit to your government, your laws, when you are a dishonest person? When you do not face truth? What does this mean? And for everyone, what does it mean when you know someone who is just totally dishonest? Dishonest, who is not completely open to the truth? As I said before, there is a war going on. The war between truth and non-truth. And those who are on the side of non-truth, those who are on the side of half-truths and part-truths, and that puts you against truth. And thus, you are a danger. Because you will allow your life to be ruled, and if you're in a position over others, you will rule people. With that, with those standards. In order for us human beings to call ourselves just, to call ourselves intellectual, we have to address such issues. I mean, that's the only way we can move forward, is if we focus on truth. Because if we don't, we just succeed in holding ourselves back, or we allow ourselves to be held back when we don't stand up for truth. And if you don't stand up for truth, can I respect that? Can I respect you? But then again, maybe it's the thing of you can't help not to stand up for truth. It is in your genes, it is in your makeup, that you will not open up to uncompromising truth. So then, I can't be upset at you. I can be upset at that action. And so, we fall back on hating the sin and not the sinner. Because you can't help it. You cannot help it. So I must have compassion for you. I can be upset. I can hate that action, what you're doing, because you're not helping, you're hurting. But I have to have compassion for you. We must run our government in the world on truth. We must not fear the truth. We must want the truth. We must seek the truth. We must love the truth. We must believe in the truth. I think we're so afraid we're just going to find out we're just like every other thing on this planet. That we are at the will of God. At the end of the day, we are at the will of God. And the thing is, I hold that most religious people, those of organized religion, would say that yes, they are at the will of God. But what exactly does that mean, that you are at the will of God? You are saying that you have no control over what God does. So you have no control over what could happen to you. You have no control over your life. Ultimately, God does, and only God does. So fully look into that and accept that. We have control over those things in which we do have control. But we must seek to understand what we fully have control over. If you want to hold yourself up to be mightier than, greater than the other animals of this planet, then show it. Be in truth. Or can you? God bless. Peace and love.